One of the most highly anticipated and controversial films is coming out this weekend, and I'm really excited to talk about it because this might be one of the most interesting and disastrous films I have ever seen. So let's get to it. Welcome back, film fans. It is Brad from Let's Be Real Brad, and today in the channel, I want to talk to you guys about the brand new psychological thriller film called Don't Worry, Darling. Don't Worry, Darling is produced and directed by Olivia Wilde, as it stars Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, Olivia Wilde, Gemma Chan, Kiki Lane, Nick Kroll, and Chris Pine. This film's about a 1950s housewife living with her husband in a utopian experimental community who begins to worry that this glamorous company could be hiding disturbing secrets. So going into this film, I didn't know a single thing about it besides the fact that this was going to be set in this 1950s world with Olivia Wilde directing the film and starring in it along with Harry Styles and Florence Pugh. But the most interesting thing about this movie has got to be all the behind the scenes fiasco that has been revealed about this film with Shia LaBeouf and the drama between Olivia Wilde and Florence Pugh, and then the Harry Styles and Chris Pine thing at one of the film festivals. This movie just seems like it was a complete disaster during production, and in all honesty, it shows up on the screen because all of this movie just feels like it could have been such a great and interesting movie, as there is so much promise here, but unfortunately this is such a mediocre, boring, and uninteresting movie. So let's just dive right into my positives first to get them out of the way, and I do want to start with the acting, as I do feel that Florence Pugh is really good in this movie, as she normally is, as she is one of the best up and coming actors, and I think she was so good in this movie. She pretty much carries this movie on her own, as most of the movie does rely on her performance to work, and I think she was really great in this film. I also found Olivia Wilde and Chris Pine to be big standouts, as well, as I thought they were really good in this movie, especially Chris Pine, who delivers a very uneasy and very subtle performance I think was very effective in this movie. I also found the cinematography and the production design to be really good in this movie, especially in how the world is set up in this 1950s-esque with all these very classic cars and homes and TVs. You really feel like you are a part of this world, and I feel like the production team really put a lot of effort and detail into this movie, especially if you know a lot about the 1950s history. This movie was really spot on, and I also really enjoyed the cinematography here, as this movie is so good looking. There is a couple of artful scenes that happen in this movie that I found that were very interesting and weird and strange, and for a lot of people they're not really going to enjoy it, but I did think it enhanced that psychological feel to this movie that this movie was trying to go for, and I thought it was very shot well and creepy, and I thought it was pretty good. And the last positive I can give this movie is just the fact that this movie at times can be very entertaining and interesting, and I wanted to see what was going to happen, especially in the second half where so many things are revealed and you just want to get to the finish line. And that's where we're going to lead right into the negatives, and we're going to start right with the screenplay, as this is easily the biggest negative of this film. I found the screenplay in this movie to be extremely terrible and very first draft heavy, as there are so many elements of this movie that are not fleshed out and there's no detail that is going on. Every single aspect about this movie is not subtle in the slightest, as this movie just thinks it's so smart and unique and different, but everything about it is just so easy to follow, and there's really nothing that is all that substantive about this film, as it's essentially about gaslighting and how the patriarchy of men running society has affected today's time all the way to the 1950s, and how things really haven't changed. And there are messages that I completely agree with and I would love to see done in a better movie. Those aren't the things that bother me. It's the execution of it and how it's so thrown in your face and it's not subtle in the slightest. And I think it thinks it's really full of itself, and there's some deeper meanings and to have analysis of this movie, there is no analysis that needs to be of this movie. It's completely straightforward. It's really easy to follow. I don't really understand why people in my theater were thinking this is like a 2001 A Space Odyssey. And the next negative I have with this movie has gotta be Harry Styles, as he is really bad in this movie. I'm gonna give Harry Styles a little bit of a break here because I know he isn't a actor, as you know, he is a very successful and great musician, which I'll give him a lot of respect for. Harry Styles had a small role in the movie Dunkirk, and I think he did a pretty solid job in that movie. He's just giving a really bad performance, and it's really obvious when comparative to all the actors in this movie. His performance really gives away the subtlety and the horror behind his character. Overall, Don't Worry Darling is such a disappointing and mediocre film that had all the ingredients to be a really interesting and well-made movie, but unfortunately the screenplay is just so bad, along with a very bad Harry Styles performance, that it just doesn't all come together, as this movie is such a mess, especially the rushed and really bad third act. I think this is a movie that I would be really interested in seeing later on after some of the behind the scenes fiasco stuff is revealed, but at this time this movie is a bore, and I would not recommend checking out this film unless you just want to see how interesting this movie got. I'm giving Don't Worry Darling a 5 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for checking out this review, as I want to know below in the comment section, have you seen Don't Worry Darling? And if you have, let me know what you think of it. I can't wait to hear about it. Before you check out this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you want to, and ring that notification bell so I can see you all in the following video.